A product rule is when you have two things multiplied together. So here in the textbook, they use P, which is the polynomial function, which is equal to f at x multiplied by g at x. And to find the derivative, it's actually going to look like this. Okay, we haven't used the other notation. I'm not going to worry about the other notation. Sometimes even this notation gets a little confusing for students, and we can also use a product rule in this kind of notation. If you have two things being multiplied together, you can call the first guy U and the second guy V. It's like you have two brackets multiplied by each other. You can call the first bracket U and the second bracket V. Then to find the derivative, it's UV prime plus VU prime. Is the first bracket times the derivative of the second bracket plus the second bracket times the derivative of the first bracket. Let me show you an example and it'll become obvious. Okay, let's look at this particular question. F at x is equal to x squared times by 3x plus 2. So there are two brackets being multiplied by each other. So I call this first guy U and I call the second guy V. Some students, they like more organization, right? They like things written out a little bit more. So if you are those kind of students, I would recommend you write this out separately. Then it'll make like a complicated question into like 4 little or 2 little, a lot simpler questions. What's U? Well, U is x squared. I'm sure you can find the derivative of x squared at this point. That's simple power rule. That's just 2x. What about the second bracket? Well, the second bracket is 3x plus 2. Again, it's a simple polynomial function, and I hope you can find the derivative of this simple polynomial function. 3x becomes 3, a 2 becomes 0, and don't even need to write it. Now that I have all 4 pieces, I simply have to fill in the blank. This is supposed to be UV prime plus VU prime. 4 things combined together. So what's U? X squared. What's V prime? 3. What's V? 3x plus 2. What's U prime? 2x. And then expand and simplify, and you're done. So this is going to be 3x squared. That you need to make sure you do distributive law. Multiply in. So 6x squared plus 4x. Collecting like terms, you have 9x squared plus 4x. Okay, let me go back up on top. Anytime you're given a product of 2 brackets, both of them containing a variable x, right? If this is a 5, that's a coefficient. We don't count that as a bracket, right? It has to contain a variable. So I have 2 brackets, they both contain x and they're being multiplied together. You can apply what we call the product rule. Product, you're multiplying, so it's easy to remember. The product rule is UV prime plus VU prime. So you separate the 2 brackets. One of them you call U, the other you call V. Now, it really doesn't matter even if you switch the orders of U and V, right? It does not matter. You get the same answer. So now you find the derivative of U by self. That's 2x. The derivative V by self, that's a 3. And you fill in the blanks. U times V prime plus V times U prime. And the formula is this. So it's always adding. And because it's adding, the order doesn't matter. 3 plus 2 is the same thing as 2 plus 3. So it doesn't matter what the order is. So you just need to remember, you take one, multiply by the derivative of the other, right? And then vice versa, add them up together. Product rule, U times V. And this looks complicated because of the square root function. So you can simplify the question by just focusing on one bracket at a time. We write this as 1/2, right? And then you're just practicing what we learned yesterday. What is u prime? Bring down the 3. Here, that's just a 2. So 3x squared plus a 2. We can do that. That's something we learned yesterday. We're not learning anything new. What about v prime? Well, that's the chain rule. So I need to bring down a half bracket. Oops, I'm ahead of myself there. X to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of this minus 1. So negative half. But don't forget about the chain. 3x squared plus 0. I'm not going to write it now. Okay. Now that you guys are more comfortable with it, the derivative of what's inside the bracket, it's just 3x squared plus 0. So if I want to make it look nice and no negative exponents, this is going to be 3x squared over 2 times the square root of x cubed plus 2. Now I'm going to put everything together and fill in the blank. F prime at x is going to be u v prime plus v u prime. Why is it 3x squared? Because you're taking the derivative of x cubed. Right? Bring down the power x squared. Okay, so what's u? U is fill in the blank x cubed plus 2x. V prime, which is this guy, 3x squared over 2 square root of x cubed plus 2 plus v, which is this guy, that's the square root of x cubed plus 2 multiplied by u prime, which is this over here, 3x squared plus 2. And generally, we're not going to ask you to simplify questions like this because it's quite complicated. Okay, usually we'll tell you some of the questions, yes, please simplify. Other questions will say do not simplify because it gets more complicated than we need to.